Thank you, co-host.
We're good to go.
There we go. And I think some of you guys know who I am. I am, you know, I've been at UCR undergrad a long time ago, and then I've been at UCR Extension about a year now, and I oversee the development of the online courses and have helped to deploy Canvas. And now we're trying to focus a little bit more on, even more on quality, pedagogy, additional things to make our courses better and better. And Truck, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I've seen a lot of familiar faces here. For those who haven't, you know, seen my face before, when it was face-to-face, I am more in charge of the instructional support and scheduling classroom for the instructor. Now it's on the online learning landscape. I'm part of the eLearn team just to assist and here to empower you with all the tools that are available to make your class better for your students.
Okay, good. Thank you. And because we wanted to demo, so this is definitely going to be grounded quite a bit in Canvas. I thought, well, let's put in a Canvas course. So instead of doing a slide deck, this is a Canvas course, and this is our homepage. It's my sandbox, but still. And then what we can do is then we can click on modules, and that's our agenda or table of contents. So we're going to start with universal design, which is the kind of the broader conceptual framework that houses accessibility, but also other ideas. And then we're going to have a section on accessibility. And I'm going to cover some of these things about how to format your content. And then Truck is going to show us how you can do captioning and other cool things in various video and live streaming types of applications, including one called Juja, which we are also working on a training program on. It's a brand new video platform that UCR has. So let's get started. Okay. And some of you mentioned a few things, like Christina mentioned the international student. Will you please type in chat what you are curious about when it comes to the subject of universal design and accessibility? Go ahead and type in chat. You guys know how to do chat? Am I just waiting for you to type? Okay, I want to make sure. Okay, good, Joe. I'm compliant with ADA regulations. Christina, international students, language abilities. I will say, I think some of the universal design stuff will address some language issues. I don't have specific stuff on that, but you know what I think, Christina, is we should probably do a session for international students. I think that should be one of our upcoming webinars. Let's see. More interesting, good. Yeah, I mean, universal design is partly just good design. Self-audit my site, very good. Diverse, good. Okay, upgrades made to Canvas, good. All right, thank you, everyone. And sometimes I like to sort of, because you are all teachers and basically course designers, sometimes I like to give meta information about what I'm doing. So again, if you do have a Canvas course, and if we ever go back to campus someday, or if you're just doing a live session like this, you may want to use Canvas as a presentation tool. So what I can do is, these are pages, and I can just hit the next button and go to the next topic. Okay, so I don't want to get into a lot of legal and hand-slapping stuff, but I thought this was interesting. I was reading a book called Reach Everyone, Teach Everyone, and it's on universal design. And this story was in there. So it talks about, now this is actually Physics 2000 at UCR, this picture, because I spent many hours there. So I thought I would show. But anyway, this story is about the University of Illinois. A professor was put on administrative leave because he refused to provide electronic copies of his lecture slides before the session. Even though there was a student with a documented disability And the office that serves that at that university, required that he make these, what they call accommodations. Professor said that if he does this, 1/3 of his students would not come to the lecture and would not do as well. Does anyone have a comment about this? What does this bring to mind? Anything? You can just use your audio and speak up, or if you prefer to use chat, you can. What is this? Is this trigger?
Maybe he wasn't a good lecturer.
Okay, maybe he was not good. Maybe they didn't want to come, and they're just, that's a possibility. We don't know. Any other ideas about this?
I think they just didn't want the inconvenience of taking their time. They could look at it when they wanted, so they could have a life doing other things instead of attending class when they should be attending it.
Okay, so, right. So the students they're showing some agency. Now he says they don't do as well if they don't attend. My thinking was, well, maybe the lectures are too passive, and if you could put things in there where the students have assignments with point values, then they'll come. If part of their grade comes from some activity in the lecture, maybe they will come. So this is not acceptable behavior, even at an accommodation level. Our department at Extension is the Student Services Department. And so if there's a student with a special need, they're supposed to identify themselves. And in fact, we had a situation of a deaf student in our paralegal program, and we hired an interpreter, and we did some tests on Zoom and Canvas conferences, and we ended up using conferences, and the interpreter was logged in as a participant or student, and they did sign language. And so the Student Services Department was able to handle that. So part of what we want to talk about today are students with disabilities, and partly it's just maybe a broader view of how we could make our courses better. Okay, so here's a definition: universal design. It provides flexibility, that's a good word, but it still encourages high achievement. It has expectations for high achievement. So it's not saying we just make things easier, but we still try to provide a similar, that's an important idea, similar experience, a similar amount of rigor, but with keeping these different needs in mind. Okay, here's another story. I thought this was interesting. Karen is a single mother who watches videos, so in her online course, with the sound off. So she has 2 little children. She doesn't wake her children, but she doesn't want to wear a headset because she still wants to be able to listen for the children if they cry or they get up or something. Here's another story. This gentleman, Stan, he did not have enough money to buy a laptop and a phone. They're both expensive, right? And so he chose to just get a phone, and he accesses his courses from the phone. And this story is about me. Now I've never asked for an accommodation at work or, as a student or anything, but I do have ringing in my ears. And if I'm exposed to white noise, it gets worse. So if I have to be in an environment with white noise, such as fans, or in an airport, I wear earplugs. It still doesn't block it out. But what happens is somehow my experience is that it resonates, and the sound in my head gets louder and louder, and it makes me a little distracted and anxious. So people that I work with, they know to turn a fan off if they have a fan in the room. And so for me, I sometimes use captions. If I'm doing something, if I'm trying to watch a movie or something, maybe I'm doing something like doing dishes that makes noise, I may turn the captions on. It helps me just take in all the information. And I had an experience, I used to work for Azusa Pacific University, and our department, we were educational technology type department. We shared it with IT. And all of a sudden they started using these noise generation machines, white noise. And they put it outside of a conference room, not inside, outside. And I could hear that noise. And so I went to the head of the department. I said, do you really need these things? All of a sudden you're using them, or can you put them inside the room so that, and he had a lot of people in cubicles. I at least had an office. He said, no, we have very private information. We can't let anyone hear it. And no, forget it. But that's what we do. And he just wouldn't even hear it. It made me kind of upset. I didn't take it any further, but I had to shut my door if anyone was using it. And then if I had to go to the bathroom, I had to hear it. If I wanted to use the kitchen, I would just have to hear it. So anyway, that's my little story. I know it's not the same, but I can relate at some level to what some people go through. And then these are some other populations that sometimes need special consideration: military, traveling sports teams, and international students. I know at my last school, we had traveling sports teams, and we had a big music department, and sometimes they would travel and they would need to have things be recorded. And obviously that's not a disability issue, but some of the things that helped the students with disabilities helped other people. And this is kind of the concept of universal design, is that maybe some of the things you do can help other people. Let's see if I have a nice graphic in a little while that I want to show you. This just says, the concept of universal design is a little bit more popular in K-12. It's getting more popular in higher ed. And universal design started in the physical world, with ramps and things like that. But as an example of something that then helps everyone, you know how the curbs sometimes go down, and then someone in a wheelchair can roll and go across the street. But if you've ever had a stroller, right, or a shopping cart, or if I take my mom somewhere, we use a wheelchair because it's just easier for her. She has a hard time getting around. So it helps a lot of different people once that curb is brought down so you can get past it. So that's kind of the idea, is it can help everyone. And so, this is a bell curve here. So it's not, universal design for learning is not to be perceived as dumbing down a course. So I put the normal curve here because when I was at UCR, I was a biomedical sciences student, pre-med, my first year. And their deal, and it was before we had a medical school, and their deal was, if you get through the third year, if you graduate from the third year, you get into UCLA medical school. So they had this great hook. And my mother wanted me to be a doctor. She was a pharmacist. So, but they graded on a curve very strictly, and they only wanted 10% of people to graduate. They were literally just hacking people. So it was very competitive. People cheated, and they wrecked each other's experiments, and it was not pleasant. So we at Extension don't need that nonsense, right? We can have mastery learning where students, whatever they earn is what they earn. And if 90% of the people, pass, that's fine. We don't need to have an equal number of A's, B's, C's, and all this kind of stuff. It would not be appropriate, I think. Okay, I have 3 topics, my last 3 topics in universal design. Let me show you. I'm going to go back to my modules. This is from the book that I mentioned. Universal design in the next 20 minutes, 20 days, and 20 months. So what can you do in those time frames? Well, in the next 20 minutes, okay, you can just, somebody mentioned in the chat, maybe they just want to, revise their course, become a better designer. So it says here, start by identifying the places where, you could improve. Good design will save effort and prevent confusion. So let's look at the quizzes. Are there certain items in the quizzes that people tend to get wrong? And in Canvas, you can do an item analysis of your quizzes. Look for alternate explanations. What are the questions that are always asked, right? So these are things you can do quickly to just make some improvement. It could be a language issue. It could be, honestly, maybe a generational issue sometimes, I think. Maybe sometimes the way a person of a certain age says something is a little different from how other people say it. Or maybe you are more tech savvy than some of your students. That's very possible, honestly. And maybe they need a little bit more explanation. Now let's look at the next level. I'm going to move. You guys keep getting on my buttons. Come on. Okay. Next days. So this concept of flexibility, which is inherent to the idea of universal design for learning, says here, sketch out 2 paths through the course. So example, Chuck's going to show you in UJA, you can create captions and a transcript. Wow. Now you have, say we do a live session, then we have a live session. We have the recording with captions, and now we have a transcript. Those are 3 paths through the content that gives the student more flexibility and more choice, or you can call it more learner control. You can also, and then you know, ask yourself, where are the gaps? So that's an idea. I'm doing a course, I'm working on a course right now for a certificate, and I'm planning to have like student pairs do a project of their choice, the subject of their choice, and they can either write a paper or create a video, you know, and I'll have to think about, you know, carefully think about that they were equivalent assignments. Well, some people really like to do a little bit more creative things. Some people, you know, don't, they'd rather just write. So I want to play around with that idea. And then the last one in this whole framework of what can you do says universal design for learning in the next 20 months. This is a Dr. Seuss calendar. I just found out today that Dr. Seuss used to work on the Bugs Bunny movies. Isn't that interesting? He was actually an animator when he first started, more than a writer. I know he's so famous now, all the librarians celebrate him, but yeah, so he was an animator. Okay, so you can look at your Canvas data and look at what's happening. Canvas has analytics where you can see where students are spending their time. And you can also just ask the students. You could do a short survey. So in the quizzing tool, you can choose an ungraded survey, or you can grade the survey in the sense that it just has a blanket point value. It could be extra credit, or it could be required. Hey, you get 5 points if you give me feedback on this course. You could do it in the middle of the course, midterm eval, or at the end, and just say, hey, what resources did you find the most helpful, and how did you use them? You know, or what do you think would be most helpful? What were areas of confusion for you? Okay. So that's my last slide on this broader concept of universal design. Are there any questions? You can just use your audio. Any questions?
I have a little bit of a comment. This is Sharon. Sure. To me, this just kind of seems common sense as an educator, because like I said, the 10%, only wanting 10% to pass, where I think we as educators are the opposite. We want to help people find successes. We don't want to hold them back. So to me, I like the ideas, but they seem like they're just kind of ingrained already as an educator.
Well, one thing though, I think, like look at that first story about that professor. There can be a concept of, I suffered through it when I went through college. You have to suffer through it. You got to do your APA citations perfectly, even if you're never going to be an academic. You got to read all the textbooks exactly on paper, just like I did. You have to go to the library. You know, this sort of ritual of what a college is to kind of get through.
Sure, and I've had those instructors, but I guess I naively believe I've never been one of those instructors. And I think those instructors could listen to this and wouldn't think they need to change anything anyway.
And I also have a comment.
Please.
This is Homa. I also have a comment on this one. I just think of it, you know, from my experience from coming as an international student and going to the high school system, to college system, to university. I always find it that I think it's so important that we treat all of our students equally. I think we should treat them more, not unequally, but more with equity. Because I feel like the equity piece is missing from the teaching that we do. A majority of the time, that's what I think. Because even for myself, I mean, I'm all about dissertation. Even going to the school has the resources. Like for example, when you mentioned that we have the student services that accommodates for all this stuff, we have all this. But it's for us, I feel like as educators, if we need to reach out to the student services or to the help that UC Extension has, or in fact, any colleges that you're teaching, to teach the students with equity, rather equally. Because if you were to teach them equally, you're giving the lecture, you're giving the PowerPoint, some gets it, some not. But what about if you taught them with equity? Some people may need more attention. Some people may need more other resources. Like for example, for me, I needed my instructor to go a little slower. I needed those papers to be given to me in hand, because exactly, this is perfect example of that.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in that category, because I was put in the mute class for 2 weeks because they didn't know what I was, because I had a language barrier. They thought that I was mute. They thought that I couldn't speak, up until I said something and they're like, oh, wait a minute, you don't belong here. So they tested out, because I was going to Newport, so they tested out to different schools like where I belong. So it's not that the school didn't have the resources, it's just the instructors didn't know how to utilize, how to access those services. So I appreciate this, what you're saying, it makes so much sense. Even in my own classes, I sometimes find students that need additional resources. For me, I have my PowerPoints, I have the lecture on it, I have the videos. It's like I try to take all different kind of learners into consideration when I'm making my lesson plans. Make sure I have the story, and I make sure, so what you have here, equality, equity, and accessibility, I absolutely agree with this. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, and one thing I really like about Extension is the diversity of the professors, you know, all of you and where you come from, and the wonderful practical experience that you have, and you really know what it takes to get to where the student wants to be. So thanks for sharing your story, Homa.
Sure.
So this is the accessibility section we're going to go through. And I remember a number of years ago, I worked on I've been learning for a long time, project on fair housing. And I worked with a fair housing expert. He said, fair housing is not fair. It's not this first one of, you know, equality. It's not that everyone gets the same thing. It's that everyone gets to the same place. And what if this small person didn't even have to ask for these boxes, but the barrier was just not there, you know, because that's another concept of universal design. Now, sometimes, yes, they have to ask, and that's fine, but could we, like someone like me, you know, just having the subtitles, if I don't have to ask for them, that's helpful, you know, because I'm not at a place where I really am disabled, you know, but I just sometimes struggle a little bit with the hearing. So this concept of universal design is they don't even have to ask. So let me show you a few things more strictly in the topic of accessibility, especially we're going to look at tools that people that are hard of hearing or hard of sight use in Canvas. Layout and design should be clean, uncluttered. Canvas is good at that. It's very plain Jane. You know, you all have to use modules. I don't let you just, you know, not use modules. Everything's in chronological order. It's literally black and white. So I think we're probably doing pretty well on just a simple, clean layout. The other thing is the heading. So students who cannot see use screen readers. And so what I'm going to show you is this is a page, if I click on edit, these are different headings. So if I highlight this, I drop down here. If you, instead of just making it larger, actually choose one of these headings, the screen reader for the student will say heading 2. It will let them know and help them organize in their mind. Also tell them if there are bullets. This is the accessibility checker, this little guy here. If you click on it, it'll let you know if you're doing okay, including some of the things that I'm gonna show you. So I just have quite a few little tips here. All right, the next one has to do with images. So if you add an image to be compliant with the screen readers, if I click on edit, you need to use what are called alt text tags or alternative text tags. So this little cat, if I bring him in, so say, I'm gonna go up here, I click on my image, Canvas. You guys know how to add images, I'm sure. I think I put him somewhere in here. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty. Does anyone else talk to the computer? I talk to my computer all the time. There it is.
And that's why it's working out for you so well.
Okay, so I add this, and you guys, I'm sorry, but you're in my way again. I have to move you. Okay, I update. Oh, sorry. Oh, I screwed up. Okay. When I bring it in, there's a little field here called alt text. Now I gave a meaningful name to this graphic, but I'm not going to include the JPEG. We don't need that. So it's called white cat wearing a tie. Now I update. But you know how sometimes file names have weird names, you know, XYZ321. So update, and now the screen reader can read that, and it'll say, you know, image for the person, the blind person, image white cat wearing a tie. Okay, so those are alt text. They're very easy to do in Canvas. Canvas is considered a pretty good tool for accessibility. Let's see if it's going to let me move on. Oh, there it is. Cancel. Okay.
And I have a quick question. This is Joe.
Yeah.
Are you going to show us that accessibility button that you just on the last slide showed us?
Sure.
What does, when you click it, what appears then, or what?
So I'll do it here. The little guy. It says no accessibility issues were detected. So I have graphics.
Oh, got it.
And they have the alt text tag. So that's what it would be looking for. The things I'm going to show you. The next idea, I believe.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Links. You want meaningful links. So you don't want something like, oh boy, I clicked on it. I didn't mean to click on it. This here. Do you see this gobbledygook? www. Because the poor person is going to be listening. www at the reader's going to read it. Instead, you can just have the name of the article. So to make a meaningful link, this is a page, I'm clicking on edit. Say I wrote the word link. I'm going to highlight it. I click on this guy right there, and I paste in the link, you know, wherever it's coming from, and I click on insert link. So instead of just pasting in the link, you associate it with a meaningful word. Okay, so that's something else the accessibility checker is probably checking for. Another topic is color, and this can come in probably more with your slides. We want to make sure we have high contrast. So this lower area with the green and red, those are two colors with high saturation. If I was going to get back and look, it's actually kind of hard for me to read because they're similar darkness. If I have the black on this light color, it's easier to read, okay? And people that are colorblind sometimes have trouble distinguishing between blue, green, and red. So this would be absolutely terrible for someone who's colorblind. The other thing is to have, do not have complex backgrounds behind your text. So you could put a box here, or I sometimes use semi-transparent boxes. So I can still see a little bit of the image, but I can still read it. And this next idea is to not, it says here, do not just use color as an identifier. So this is a bad example at the top with the pinks and the orange. This is a good example on the bottom where it gives the meaning of these things right there. Or you could have an icon with a shape and a color. So if the person can't see the colors very well, they can still see the shapes. And my last slide before I let Chuck take over is setting up assignments. And this is kind of more my things. Meaningful names of assignments. I like to use the week 1, week 2. So week 1 discussion, blah, blah, blah. Week 1 assignment, blah, blah, blah. They will line up nicely in your grade book and help you remember to put things in order. They will line up nicely in your syllabus tab, the lower area. Students will be, it'll be very clear when they're due. Another thing I see teachers do sometimes is they refer to the same assignment with different names, like, oh, make sure you turn in your report on Friday. Or make sure you turn in your paper on Friday. The students may think those are two different things. So consistent names when you're talking about things. And this is another thing here. It says here, you don't need to specify an open until date on your assignments. So I like to have everything be open. So when I test my course, I see everything open. If a student wants to go ahead, and so some of you may have gotten emails from Truck and Daniel and me and say, hey, your course isn't ready. you don't have to let me know. So we try to get out ahead of it, and we try to make sure everything's ready, everything's open. So the day that curtain opens for that course, students can see everything, they can plan ahead. What if they need a tutor, someone to help them with the week 1, oh my gosh, I'm taking a research course, they're getting heavily into statistics, oh, I gotta buy the software. they want to plan ahead. So I would have everything be open. That would be the gold standard. I know some of you do get placed in courses by extension a little late in the game. And I know I've worked with some of you who say, well, okay, let's get Mod 1 open. Not at the best scenario. Let's see. And you can set up, if you are asked to do an accommodation by student services, you can set up different due dates for individuals, for quizzes, assignments, etc. So you set the first one for everyone, and then you open, it has a little plus when you configure the assignment, and then you set a separate due date for an individual person. And nobody knows. And so the concept of discreteness is probably good as well, that you don't, if you don't have to talk about it in front of everyone, that would be good. Okay, and now I'm gonna, any questions on those items? I know I did go through them fairly quickly. You can just call out if you have any questions. Okay, I yield the floor to Truck.
Hey, Ann,
Yes.
may I break in?
Yes.
I have a tendency to use PowerPoint, and I was just wondering if it's better to use Canvas and set things up in Canvas rather than PowerPoint. You know, the thing I like about it is the compatibility with all the Microsoft Office, Excel, Word, that type of thing.
So in the age of COVID, everything's online. So Scott, you're going to be teaching online, right?
Yes, I am.
So your students will all be given access to Canvas, and when does your course start?
It already is. I'm five weeks into the 8-week course already.
So you are using Canvas, right?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So in Canvas, you have things that are online, and then you have things that are desktop applications that you put into files. So you can certainly use PowerPoint. That's absolutely fine. And it sounds like you're already, you know, in the heart of things. So you definitely do not have to use Canvas as a page-by-page thing like I'm showing you. I would say most teachers don't. I'm doing it because we're just doing a quick 1-hour session. But yeah, most faculty will use, like you're using, and they have a large piece of content to deliver. It'll be one PowerPoint file that the students can access.
Yep.
So
that's what I've been doing, is just uploading all the files into and I put them in the modules. You know, you can just add things to the modules, and then every week I consider that to be a module. So I have all the files and everything right underneath the modules. They can just click on that and download the PowerPoints or whatever else they need.
okay. If you and I can get together, if you like, we can talk if you want to talk more about anything. Okay, Truck, I made you a host.
All right.
You got the
All right, everyone. So our next topic is about, you know, making videos and how it could be accessible to students. So when it comes to videos for your classroom, it's a good rule of thumb to just keep in mind that if something is visual, you know, make it auditorial as well. And if it's, you know, auditory, make it visual as well. So when it comes to video, if you're using your own video, you could upload it to a new platform, Uja, and it could do the auto caption for you. But if you're using an external video, make sure that the provider of the video has a caption availability. So for this example, in this case, you can see that YouTube, you know, have the closed caption features on the bottom right here. All right. So that's something just to keep in mind when it comes to, you know, making your teaching materials accessible to your students. And next, I'm going to share with you some of the tools that are available when it comes to video live, you know, sessions. If you've been teaching, you probably, if you've been teaching with us, you've probably been using one of the tools that are available here, either Zoom, Canvas conferences, or Uja. Uja is a new tool I'm going to be covering in a couple of minutes that I think is very powerful for you guys to enhance the way you conduct your class and make the class more fun and creative for your students. But, you know, first thing first, I just wanted to share with you how we could make, like, you know, generate caption when you're in Zoom. So when you're in Zoom, something to keep in mind is that Zoom has that capability. However, you have to manually type it in. And right now, I'm going to share with you how to turn on that feature in Zoom. So when it comes to Zoom, there is a web portal where you access it, and then it'll give you all the setting of your Zoom account. So I'm going to show you how you get in turn on the closed caption feature, and we're going to demonstrate. So in this case, this is my Zoom account. So if you log into, zoom.us, you get to your account. When you're in your account, go ahead and click to setting. And then from here, you could look for a caption. And in this case, I've turned on closed caption right here. So it's a feature I could turn on and off. By default, it might not be turned on. There's also other features in here that you might want to explore, and it might be beneficial to the activities that you plan to have in your class, like file sharing with Zoom, breakout rooms. Some of these features are not turned on by default, so just explore these features and turn on the one that applicable to your class session. But today we just want to focus on closed caption. So I've already turned it on in this case. So as you can see here, I'm gonna pretend that I am talking, and I will do the closed caption myself. Hello, everyone.
And I think I'm going to interrupt you a second, Truck. I think for me, I'm being a participant in Truck's session. I have to click on the CC at the bottom and then click on show subtitle. So just in case you need to do that as well.
So I was just trying to do a caption of what Ann said right there. And the best way is if you could have an assigned moderator or an assistant to help you when it comes to create these captions, because it might be difficult to do your presentation, conduct the class, and do the closed caption at the same time. But I'll save the best part for later, because UJA have the ability to auto-generate the caption for you. So save you all the headache in the world. So as you can see, that closed caption is available when it comes to your Zoom session. The next one I'm going to show you is the Canvas conferences. So when it comes to university design and making everything accessible, we want to give our instructor the option to conduct their class. So these are the three options that we have available for you to carry out like video live session. If you are using Canvas conferences, you will see this feature here. And I'm just going to bring you to a live session I've already created. So this is what a Canvas conferences look like. In here, if you want to turn on a closed caption feature, you would go to the user tab right here and choose closed caption. And you could choose the language, and this window will be available for you. And like I said, you could do it yourself, or you could assign this special task to a moderator or an assistant who could help you do the closed caption while you conduct the lecture. So I'm going to show you how it is turned on, okay? So once I have that feature on as a host, as a student, you could you see this CC right here on the bottom, and all you have to do is click on it. And if I type anything here, closed caption will appear on the bottom.
And Chuck, you clicked on the gear icon next to your name?
Absolutely, yeah. So to turn it on as a host, you click on the gear icon right here, and this option will be available for you. And once you choose this window will pop up and it'll allow you to do the closed caption. So these are just the various ways, how these tools have these features available for our instructor. So the next feature I wanted to share with you is UJA. And maybe you haven't used it before, but it is available on your left-hand menu, and it's right here. I've created some video and uploaded here to test it out and share with you today. But if you have any question about turning this feature on, please let us know. We're here to help. We want to make these new resources available to you. Even if you're not going to use it, I highly recommend you try it out just to see if it has some feature that will benefit you in any way. A lot of universities are implementing UJA in their LMS. So, If you don't use it here, you might use it elsewhere where it will improve the way you conduct your class. So if you don't have it, you could just go to setting right here and then choose navigation. And if it's not on your left-hand menu, it will be on here on the bottom. So anything that's up here are available to you. Let's say quiz is not available and I want to drag it up. So in this case, I just made the quiz feature available over here. So if you don't see UJA existing here, you could go into setting, navigation, and then find it and drag it here and click save, and it will be available on your left-hand side. So the cool things about UJA is that it gives you the capability to record your session, record your screen without any additional hardware that you will need. So a few good ideas that you could use UJA for is going back to what Ann was saying. If there's a concept that you know, a few students in your class is having difficulty with, you could just, you know, bring out that that problem and, you know, highlight it, record a little short video, and distribute it specifically to those you know, those 3 or 4 students, so you don't have to repeat it over and over again. Another thing is that, you know, you can ask your student to create a introduction for themselves before a class, or they do a presentation. They could record themselves, and their friend could, you know, give them peer evaluation, or you could just record and provide feedback immediately to, you know, how they present their materials. So UJA is quite powerful. I highly recommend that you should try it out. And the cool thing about UJA is that if you record something, you could, you know, submit it, and then it will store there, and it will create the closed caption for you. In this case, I've uploaded a video here, and all I had to do was just, you know, explore, you know, go into this accessibility tab, and then I could, you know, choose auto caption, and it will automatically generate the closed caption for you. It might not be 100% accurate. However, the cool part is that you could come in and manually adjust the auto caption that they've created for you. And I'm going to show you that right now as we speak. So this one already have like closed caption generated. It'll save you like all the time in the world. I'm just going to play it real fast right here. Then as you can see, if you're a student, you're able to come in here and see the captions. Sorry about that. And then, you know, line by line, you're able to see, skip around where the video is at. But as an instructor, you could come in to the edit feature of the video and edit the specific text in a certain moment of the video. So that's one of the beautiful thing about UJA. It gives you power to edit your video. You create your video, you can edit it, you could add caption to it.
Chuck, can I ask you a question? This is Joe. So would you, so this could be like in place of using Screencast-O-Matic, or if you do a video, do you keep it in UJA, or would you move it to one of your modules? What would you suggest?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joe. Yeah, so you could use this instead of like, you know, Screencast-O-Matic, or what's on Snag, or some other video out there. And it will store the video in your own account. And that account, you know, give you enough space to store all your video. It's a large amount, so you don't have to worry about space. And that's one of the reasons why UCR, you know, and UCR Extension decided to incorporate UJA into our learning management system, because you don't have to worry as much about, you know, storage when it comes to video. And you could store it in there, and you could edit it, you know, edit however you want it. And you actually could archive all that and create your own little library, and then use it for different classes. Like, you know, this quarter you want to, you know, you want to use it for this class. Next quarter you want it to use for another class. And to give you the power to edit the materials in there. If you want to like cut out a screen, you know, add another text in, you know, on a page, to give you that capability. So, but let's circle back about closed caption. you know, when you're in the edit area, you could click on closed caption and you could come in here and type and change, you know, if, you know, something was wrong, you know, you could add additional note in here and it will allow you to save it. And that's what your audience will see. So it give you that flexibility to modify, create and modify your class material the way you want it to, you know, distribute to your student.
So Trex, the students don't have access to UJA, only instructors do, right? And then we take that video, we put it in the module so they can view it, correct?
Yeah, no, it's more powerful than that. The instructor has access to UJA, the student have access to UJA as well. So they are capable of recording their own presentation as a way to test, you know, to do a trial and errors on their project. But privileges and features are limited based on the account that, you know, the category that you are in.
Truck, this is Linda. I have a question, and this pertained to my last class. I'll try to keep this short.
Yes,
My students were supposed to do a team presentation for their final project, and because they had to be sent back home to their home country, all I could ask them to do was to submit an individual video of their portion of the presentation. And so I got all of these individual videos that really didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I had to consider that. Is there a way they could have created a team presentation together and using UJA and sent it, you know, or posted it on Canvas so that I could look at it, or
So
that
actually,
even other students could look at it?
Yeah. So actually what they could do is they you know, we could set up a video conference. It will be a Zoom session like this, and they'll present and they'll record it, and it will be like a group, you know, video conference, and submit that, you know, session to you.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, rather than individually submitting their own presentation. So it takes some planning and collaboration, but it could be done.
Okay, so if I have to do that again, could I contact you for some help? And
absolutely, yeah. No,
yeah,
we're here. Yeah, we're here to make you know, your class activity as easy as possible. And there are features within UJA that you know, honestly, I haven't even like explored. But you know, whenever there's a hurdle, then you know, we get creative and we come up with new solution. But I just want to share with you the basic, well, you know, when it comes to do video recording and closed captioning. But so many ways I've seen where people have used UJA to improve the way to conduct their class and distribute, you know, learning materials to their students.
Truck, this is Scott. Is there a capability of voice recognition translating into closed captions?
Yeah.
As of this moment, I'm not aware, but so let me,
right, automatically transcribing.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify, Scott. So what you could do is record your video, you know, naturally, and then when you upload it to UJA, it will automatically generate that caption for you. Is that answer your question?
Well, I was thinking real time, mostly, Truck. You know, like when I was doing the lecture portion of it, to have it, you know, translated right into the closed caption at that point.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So the live, you know, transcription of you know, like dictation in a way.
Right.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. That would save all the headache in the world. But I haven't seen it yet, Scott. But I'll keep that in mind. You know, this is like one of the you know, issue or hurdle that, you know, conducting a class online, and it will greatly benefit, you know, other teacher as well. So we'll keep that in mind, and I'll bring it up and see, you know, if they develop these features down the road.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So that's just the basic when it comes to UJA, everyone. Let me get out of here, and I'll share with you a few more, you know, basic components, and we could always circle back near the end, and I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. Okay.
And I put the support email in the chat.
And we understand, as a support team, we understand how difficult it is to, you know, conduct a class online. It's a new learning landscape for some instructor and some student as well. So we definitely on the same page with you when it comes to giving you all the support that you need to conduct your course. So we're on the same side here. So that just covered the basic of, when it comes to the video tools and closed captioning. And one other topic I wanted to talk about is external documents. I want to circle back to what Scott was saying earlier, how, it's okay to use PowerPoint, in your course rather than using Canvas. Absolutely. I mean, you could use these external documents. However, there's these sets of global, rules where it's good to keep in mind when it comes to, creating these documents from like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, or, a PDF. If you have an image in that, on your document, make sure you use alt text. When you have a hyperlink, make it meaningful. Use the tool that are in this, the software. I'm gonna show you real fast how we should take advantage of the feature that are available in the tool. So I'm gonna share with you my. So this is a PowerPoint, and every tool nowadays have these feature where you can check the accessibility level. As you can see with Canvas, it has that feature too. So this is a feature that's also available in PowerPoint, and I'm pretty sure it's available in Microsoft Word as well. But like some basic rule that we need to keep in mind is when you have a list, make sure that you create bullets for them, and when you have a title, use the right heading. So these are just some basic global rules when it comes to creating material and making them accessible to all your students. Because if a student have a special need, they'll probably use some screen reader to process these materials. So just use the tool that are available to you, and these tools already have this mentality of creating materials that are fairly easy for everyone to access. But if you have any issue when it comes to using any of this feature, reach out to us. Like, we're here, we wanted to support you in any way possible. So don't hesitate. There's no fear, because Truck and Ann are here.
And Daniel, many of you met Daniel.
Absolutely, and Daniel, he's not here right now. But that's just a quick wrap up of what I wanted to share today when it comes to the Canvas and some of the online feature. But feel free to ask us any question, guys.
Does anyone have any questions right now? Scott, are you raising your hand, Scott? Are you clapping? What are you doing?
I am clapping and thanking you very much for this. I learned quite a bit. I was sort of self-taught on Canvas, but you came up with some really good things in here. I really like it a lot. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? No one wants to ask a question because I give Scott a hard time.
And rest assured, guys, we plan to do another webinar and share with you some of the cool features that could help you enhance the way you conduct your class with UJA. And that'll be a separate seminar, but we have it lined up for you.
And we do record them, so we'll make them available on the website. Okay, is that it? We're done?
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
too.
for your
Thanks
time.
a lot.
All right.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Truck. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming.